Being a dad isn't always easy, but it's the best thing I ever did. I'm constantly improving myself to be the best dad I can be through fitness, nutrition, mindset, and lifestyle. As fathers, we pass on many things to our children, such as our mindset, our habits, our attitude, and what we've learned along the way. Each of these will shape who our children are and who they will become. The Warrior Dad's mission is to help you become the healthiest version of yourself, to hone your edge, and to live with purpose. My name is Jim Bertamy, and this is the Warrior Dads Podcast. As warrior dads and men, keeping our testosterone at a peak level is crucial. I'm sure you know all the horrible things associated with low T levels. If you don't, it's not pretty, especially for us guys. Unfortunately, testosterone levels in men have been consistently decreasing over the last few decades, and it's actually one of the biggest conversations I have to have when working with men, which is why I decided to create the Warrior Dad's Testosterone Booster Guide and Checklist. It's a free download, and all you have to do is go to warriordads.com. Again, it's free. Just download it, implement it, and feel the difference. So again, go to warriordads.com and get your free copy today. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in for another episode of the Warrior Dads Podcast. Today is a really special episode. This has been a long time coming. He is a super busy man, and he is, in my opinion and others' opinions, the closest thing to a real life Captain America that we have on Earth today, and that man is Tim Kennedy. And if you don't know who he is, Tim is an active duty Ranger qualified Green Beret Special Forces sniper with tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. Tim has black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and modern Army Combatives, and has professionally competed in MMA. Prior to his retirement, Tim was ranking among the top middleweights in the UFC. He has been featured on TV shows such as Hunting Hitler on the History Channel and Hard to Kill on the Discovery Channel. Finally, and probably most importantly, he is a father of 3 amazing children and a true American patriot. I'm so blessed to have him on the show. Tim, welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. It sounds weird when you kind of put it all together. I'm just like, ugh, I need to do other stuff.
I don't think so. I think you're pretty busy. Before we jump into some questions and things like that, I wanted to pass on a couple things. My son wanted to say thank you for your service and say hello. He just turned 7 on Wednesday. And so he wanted to say thank you for your service. And my cousin Gary, who I've had on the show, is probably your number one biggest fan. He was a firefighter and is embarking on a new journey, and is also involved in jiu-jitsu, and you're a big inspiration to that, and was in the Coast Guard and loves, I think he has a Ranger Up shirt on almost every single day.
Nice.
And I got him the Savage Gentleman shirt because I have it as well, the black one. And so anyway, he wanted to say hello and that he's a huge fan of yours as well. So I wanted to pass that along.
Dude, appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I want to know from you, from a dad's perspective, this might be a little bit different of an interview compared to a lot of other ones that I've listened to you on. I know you've been on Jocko. I know you've been on Tim Ferriss and so many other podcasts. But I really want to talk about, you as a father, what you're instilling in your kids, how you were brought up. I understand that your dad was a 30-year narcotics officer. And so just understanding, how you were brought up. And I think I read or heard that your mom had kind of enrolled you in cooking classes when you were really young. And was it some kind of instrument, piano, I think it was?
Yeah.
So hearing that, it's like, what was that kind of dynamic like? If you can kind of just briefly describe that, and then how have you taken anything from your childhood that you've learned from your parents and instilled it, or all just, just all from you? So I'd love to start off like that.
Well, I mean, I think the goal is to copy what my parents did in every single way. Because my parents were, nearly perfect parents. I know they'll get mad hearing me say that, but truly I was blessed in every imaginable way with what my siblings were like, with what my brother was like, with how my parents raised me. And everybody could only be so lucky. I was a ADD freak of a kid that, in a normal household, the easy solution is, let's medicate this kid. Let's, put him on Ritalin. But instead, my parents just found activities for me to do from sun up to sundown. So, I mean, I'm not exaggerating. From the from the time the sun was up, from the time the sun was down, I never had a moment of free time. Whether that was like
kind of like today.
Yeah. I mean, like
Yeah.
nothing's changed. Like people are like, how at this point, 40 years old, have you done these things? I'm like, dude, just wait till I'm 80. Nothing's going to change because I'm continuing to, I just can't kind of stop moving. I would be in prison. I'd be dying of AIDS, or, I'd be a drugged up, probably meth or heroin addict, just because of kind of the amount of energy that I had. But my parents were wise enough to make sure that that was directed in very productive, useful ways.
Mm-hmm.
And that can only be a testament to kind of their love and their patience. As they duct tape me to chairs for me to do homework. And now that sounds like super criminal, but like it was the best possible way. Otherwise I would have failed out of school.
Right.
So like maybe for any other kid that would be insane, but for this kid it was perfect. And with mine, matter of fact, I just came from Capitol Armory in North Austin, where I picked up my son's first gun, a little bolt action precision 10-22 rifle, suppressed. Nice. That's what he's going to start learning on.
Mm-hmm.
My first, like most people, everybody had their first gun. Sometimes it's a 410 shotgun, a break breech, or a lever action, bolt action, that Ruger 10-22 semi-automatic. But it's like I'm just trying to do the same thing that my dad did.
So how old were you when you first started shooting?
That I had my own gun? I think I was 10. But
10. And how old's your son now?
4.
Whoa. Okay. So you didn't do exactly what your dad did.
No, but I tell you what, you do not give this 4-year-old me a gun. That's what you don't do.
Right.
And every
so your
kid
son's very different than you are, or you are.
Yeah, he's just like my wife, and he's an intellectual. He's a cognitive freak that looks and dissects everything that you say and do. That's who my wife and my son are, and so maybe he's ready, maybe he's not, but might as well start this slow process.
If he's methodical like that, I mean, he might be, lining up the shot, paying attention to where it goes, seeing the groupings and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he could be really focused at it.
Oh yeah, he will be.
Yeah. Having a dad as a sniper is, big shoes to fill.
So a decent shooter.
I'm pretty sure you're probably like ranked in the top 6, aren't you?
I'm up there. Always trying to get better, man. I was just shooting.
I understand not wanting to toot your own horn, but it's like you got to give yourself credit too. Yeah. I mean, you're also the person who I heard say that you had to beg to be able to kick down the doors and go kill the bad guys when you enlisted, right? Because didn't you say that you approached the SEALs, you approached the Marines, and everybody wanted you to be an officer and go this path and that path, and you're like, no, I want to kick down doors. I want to do the dirty stuff. So that energy's got to go somewhere, right? I mean, you're the perfect guy for it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's a good thing, but that is also true. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you, so you have a lot of experience, and, you've seen a lot. So I'm sure you see the world in a slightly different way than probably the general population. How are you raising your kids? I mean, people probably follow you on Instagram and they see your workout videos, they see what you're doing, what you're involved in. You're still owner or part owner of Sheepdog Response, correct?
Yep. Still full owner. We're just growing and getting bigger.
Yeah. So, empowering people to, be their own weapons and, hashtag hard to kill, all that good stuff. What are you, at what age did you start instilling this into your kids? What's the routine like for them that you've kind of helped them adopt on a daily basis?
I mean, we start working at birth.
Okay.
Like if this is any indication of kind of what, getting my 4-year-old a gun, that might sound crazy to some people until you remember that, like, I grew up as an 8-year-old walking into drug dealers' garages and trying to steal their registration out of their license, like every amount of personal information I could steal out of their glove boxes as an 8-year-old kid. You know, like that was normal to me. So like, you always have to, I realize I sound insane sometimes when people like listen to me talk, and I was like, I just grew up different, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
And my kids are going to have the same thing. Like one of my kids right now is overseas. You know, she's 16 years old and she's traveling in a bunch of foreign countries. And that's not weird to me. And she's going to be super safe. I had her kidnapped when she was 12 years old.
I saw that. Oh my God.
Yeah. Like that's real. That's that. Like, this isn't like I'm trying to do social media stuff. I'm trying to give people little snapshots into this strange world that I live in, and hopefully inspire people to push the limits of their own lives.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, like you're saying, 16-year-old girl goes across the world. I mean, that's the movie Taken right there, right? So,
well, I'd love that. Like it would be a hilarious thing if somebody's like, "Oh, hey, that little blonde is super cute. I'm gonna go snag her." I'm like, "Ooh, one, she's gonna stab you in the gut, and you're gonna die a painful death. Two,
what does she carry with her? What does she carry with her?
I'm not gonna tell you, but she's good.
She's good. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like,
yeah,
they were my peers that tried to kidnap her, and like they were in a full-blown fight with a 12-year-old girl in the back of a place as they're trying to bring her out the back door to a van, you know?
Right.
So like there's some fight and some wisdom in my kids that I never had, even though my parents did everything they could give to me.
So do your kids do jiu-jitsu too?
So my son right now, the 4-year-old, he is doing Taekwondo. One of my daughters does jiu-jitsu proper, like Brazilian jiu-jitsu. She does jiu-jitsu with her mom. And then my other daughter is less into jiu-jitsu, you know, goes like, she's more in like the Krav type stuff.
So like the practical jiu-jitsu, not the tournament jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, self-defense jiu-jitsu.
The shit you like.
Yeah, I like
clawing the people's eyes out. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely, I don't think you can be really a master at like the self-defense jiu-jitsu unless you really train proper technical jiu-jitsu. You know, and there is a point of diminished returns where you start going down the sports route, where you're really just focusing on sports and forgetting that, like, oh yeah, I can bite a dude right now, or, you know, I could headbutt him to death, or cool, I just got to side control and I can start dropping north-south elbows until his face turns to mush.
Right. And I guess the possibility, the opportunity is always there, right? But if you never actually implement that into your practice, then if you were ever need to do that in the real world situation, then it's kind of almost lost in translation, right? Because you've never actually put in the reps to practice doing it that way. You've only done the tournament style.
Yep, exactly.
So is that why you have your son in Taekwondo, or he's just too young for jiu-jitsu?
He's too young for jiu-jitsu. 6 is where they want him. And I started in traditional martial arts. So, you know, Shotokan karate, Taikari jiu-jitsu, Hawaiian Kempo. So I had a very diverse background in martial arts before I got into grappling, and I loved grappling, but I want him to have the diversity of being able to. The scariest part about me in MMA was like, I get to pick where the fight happens, you know, like, or if we're going to grapple, like you're going to in for a bad night. If you're a kickboxer, like plan on being on your back, you know, and then if you're Roger Gracie, like one of the greatest grapplers on the planet, like good luck getting me down. You know, you're either going to be on your back getting punched in the face the whole entire time, or we're never going to go to the ground and you're just going to have to deal with whatever I want to do on our feet. So, I wanted him to, and then like the athleticism, similar to gymnastics. He also does gymnastics. One of my daughters did figure skating. The other one was water polo. So like, I didn't want ever to force any of what I do onto any of them. So like one of my daughters will never go hunting with me ever. But she likes shooting a bow. She never wants to shoot a bow at an animal, but she loves shooting a bow. So like, that's our thing. Her version of marksmanship with me is going and shooting a bow. Awesome. I love every single second of it. And if my son doesn't like shooting this rifle, cool. He'll never have to do it ever. And just like my family, it was always, what is the best thing for this kid? What is the best thing for, my brother and sister are way different than I am. They're better at everything, unfortunately. But everything was tailored for each of us.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's kind of a fine line. Like you just brought up a really good point, is that you never want to force it on them. But like, let's just go back to the self-defense thing, right? So you've already taught your daughter self-defense tactics, whatever art she knows, or like you said, one of them's more into the Krav stuff and the Jiu-Jitsu combination. So the thing is, like, what if one of your kids actually said to you, like, Dad, I don't want to do Taekwondo. I don't even want to learn how to defend myself. It's like, well, as a father, or at least you want that for as a father, is like, you want your child to know how to protect themselves, because you never know when you're possibly going to need to do that, right? So whether it's in, a trip to Europe or on the playground or something like that. So it's like, without forcing, how do you, maybe you never even had that experience, but I'm just curious as like what you'd say, how you'd react if someone's out there listening and they had that experience, and like, yeah, my kid doesn't really have an interest in this kind of stuff, but they want them to know how to defend themselves because maybe they don't want someone to take advantage of their good nature or something like that.
So I think somebody's ability to respond to, external negative stuff, whether it's like an attacker, or even like in the business realm of, like in negotiations, somebody being a dick and being aggressive and trying to like shortchange you, or, like my daughter's now just moving into the working field, or they just went on their proms, and one of them, had a bad experience with a guy at prom night. All of their responses to all of that negative stuff came from first confidence and love. They don't have to know how to judo chop somebody in the throat. They don't know how to run. They don't need to know how to run a power double. They don't need to know how to do a flying arm bar. But if they are in a position of strength and confidence, and they know that their father had low jacked the limo that they're in, and they're pretty much tracking where every second that they go, like, they know that. So like, it was, let me out of the car right now. Like, I don't need to be in this limo with you. Just let me out on the side of the road. And the confidence that think about that for a second. A 16-year-old girl, the peer pressure that they're under, for them to be able to say, okay, this is how I'm going to respond to what is inappropriate, to have the confidence to say, no, we can't do this here. We can't do this at all, let alone here. Like, she didn't need to have a martial art background. Sure. Martial arts can help build that confidence. She didn't need to be a boxer. Sure. It could have helped how she was going to respond or give the confidence to do that. But like, it was more of the position of strength of who they are as individuals. Like, that's this undaunting, relentless pursuit that you see in me. Those are characteristics that were given to me out of love and strength. So like, you can't beat me, like you can never break me. You can never make me quit, because like, that's just not in there. And it's the same with my kids. Like my son at 4, with a new baby on the way, like they are going to be in positions of strength. They're going to have confidence moving forward, where, it's, all of their success is just going to be a direct reflection of who they are on the inside, internally. Like, and that's just love and strength.
Yeah, that's a good point. I love that you low jacked the limo.
Yeah. I don't give a.
That's awesome.
I don't give. Dude,
that's awesome.
There's 7 billion people on the planet. I don't care about 6,999,997 of them.
Yeah.
Like,
and congratulations on the new one on the way.
Yeah, thanks.
That's awesome. So that's what you're instilling in your kids. With this type of schedule that you have, I'm sure that there's a lot of people listening that want to know what your routine is like. So how are you balancing being in the Army, running multiple businesses, being a father, like getting in your workouts, doing the things that you need to do to stay healthy? I know you're a big proponent of 8 hours of sleep, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So you are a person that values sleep, as opposed to someone like people that might listen to Jocko, and he's like 5 hours of sleep, 6 hours of sleep max, something
Well,
like
so
that.
he, like me, is a high performer in the sense that, so I cannot sleep for 8 hours.
Oh,
I absolutely believe that everybody needs to sleep as much as their body needs, and everybody's body's different. My wife, pregnant, needs 10 hours of sleep. Like, that's just the way it is.
yeah.
There's period. Like there's no magic anything. She needs to sleep for 8 hours or 10 hours. Otherwise she's like a massive pain in the ass. So it's whatever the individual needs. Sleep, I think, is one of the building blocks, the cornerstones for a healthy person, just like nutrition and exercise and hard work are. But I don't think any of them are more important than the other, or there's an exact recipe. Like, not everybody does not need to do the workouts that I do. Matter of fact, it'll kill a bunch of people. But they should be pushing themselves to whatever their limit is in whatever way they want to improve as a person.
Do you design your own workouts?
Yeah. Well, I got a little team of people around me that are, some are strength and conditioning coaches, powerlifting coaches, Olympic lifting coaches. Some are like endurance athletes. So we're always trying to like push the envelope in a bunch of different ways. So right now we're doing totally whack things where, like, imagine a CrossFit workout, and you know how most CrossFit workouts, you have the strength port, or you have like the warm up, the mobility, the strength.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get into the finisher, like, all right, here's
Like the Metcons.
here's the Metcon, or the WOD of the day.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing that first. So we're like zapping our CNS at the very beginning of the workout, and then spending the rest of the workout trying to rally to be able to do strength. So it's a complete paradigm shift from anything that I have ever seen anybody do. And it's the weirdest, worst, most uncomfortable pain ever. But that's
Yeah.
what we're doing right now.
Well, from if you study strength and conditioning or program design and stuff like that, you're right. I mean, you're supposed to start with the harder things, right? Work big to small, and harder, more stabilizers, things like that should go first, or heavy lifts should go first. But the guy I mentioned to you, my cousin Gary, he was in SOC unit, special ops firefighter unit, for a number of years, and you think of the gear that they have to wear, the amount of conditioning that they have to have, and then how much cardio or how much like Metcon type training do they have to do before they actually get into the building, and then maybe have to do the heavy lifting. He's been doing that for so long, actually. So he was actually training that way, and he's like, well, that's kind of the environment that I'm in. Like, I'm training for my environment, because we were having a conversation about a number of years ago. I'm like, it makes perfect sense. I mean, it's unconventional, right? From all the books that you might read on program design, but if it meets the demands of your environment and you're training for your sport, then there is no wrong. So, I mean, I'm sure that's probably pretty similar with you, right? I mean, when you're deployed and you got all the gear on, you're going someplace, you're probably doing a lot of cardio and already getting the heart rate up there, sweating, and then maybe you got some heavy lifting to do afterwards. So it's really practical.
Yeah, I've never been in a gunfight where we got to do a warm up, do some mobility, do a little bit of strength. It's been like 1, 2, 3. Oh my God, I'm about to die, and this is going to go on until it's done.
Right.
So that was one of the motivations for. Like, I think a lot of people train wrong. They're training backwards. I get it. It's harder to get strong and to look better when you train this way, but like, you're not going to get better at this other stuff until you realize that, like, you gotta, dude, it just sucks right now. It just sucks to be me.
I doubt that. So you just got actually back from your last recent deployment, right?
Yep.
So were you already starting to do this training before you went on deployment?
I started it there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How have you seen your body react or shift or improve? Or has not enough time yet?
It's ugly. Sometimes it feels like I'm throwing up out of my butt. In like the middle of the workout. Dude,
Okay.
it sucks.
It sucks.
Yeah.
You take ice baths to recover?
We're doing, what are we doing? Cryo, NAD,
yeah.
and a ton of calories.
Yeah. So where does some of your motivation come from? So you said, you were always like this, where you're a kid and you're just running around. You got to get duct taped to the chair to do your homework. Where's your motivation coming from to just keep going as an adult? I mean, maybe it's your family, maybe it's just you love doing the work that that you're doing, but you said it a couple of times, it sucks being me. Okay, so where do you get that motivation? Because if someone says to themselves, it sucks being me, maybe you're being a little facetious, but what if someone truly believes that? And it's like, how are they going to get that energy to get up and keep going?
Dude, embrace the suck.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
Yeah. I mean, like,
yeah.
I hate that these slogans exist, but they exist for a reason because they're just true,
Yeah.
and I love the contrast. I love the pain. I love the suffering. Like, right, if you looked at my hands right now, there's chunks of my hands missing from this morning's workout. I have to go shoot tomorrow. The first time I draw my gun, it's like, I'm probably going to reopen everything that's open on my hand right now that will get sealed at some point of today.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also going to spend the rest of the afternoon swimming around in a saltwater pool as my kids are hanging out with all of their friends on a Friday afternoon as we're barbecuing some elk that I'm going to mince into some street tacos. As
that
I'm
sounds
building
delicious.
up. Yeah, it's going to be redonkulous. So, like, in one day, look at the contrast of that. Like, so I totally embrace this pain and suffering because I know what is on the far side of it. I know it's on the far side of hard work. I know it's on the far side of pain. I know it's on the far side of failure. And that is like the most fulfilling, rewarding life imaginable. So I think people avoid this pain and they avoid failure and they avoid the suck. When in fact, they should always be seeking it out, because on the far side of that is everything that they've ever wanted. It's everything they've ever imagined that they could provide for their family. It's everything that they wanted as an individual. So, like, just accept the fact that, like, it is a necessary part of growth.
Yeah. Completely different perspective. Yeah. And nothing actually changes, right?
No.
Except your mindset, except the way you're attacking the day, your life, etc. So I love it. I love that advice. All right. I know we're running short on time here. So I end every episode with 10 questions inspired by James Lipton and Bernard Pivot. So before we let you go, I got 10 questions.
Okay.
Rapid fire. Okay.
Fire.
Who is your hero?
My dad and my grandpa.
What excites you?
Pain.
What turns you off?
Quitters and anything easy.
What is your favorite sound?
My children's laughter.
What is your least favorite sound?
Them crying.
What is your favorite quote or saying?
Do unto others as you want done unto yourself.
Nice. In a couple words, what should a dad be?
A forgiver, a lover, and I want to say, like, I don't know what the right word is. It's like adaptable. Like, they need to be whatever their kids need them to be, and we don't know what that is until you have your kid.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Like a chameleon.
Yeah.
In a couple words, what should a dad not be?
Easy, a quitter, and they shouldn't be fake. Like, my kids see me fail. They see me suffer. They see me sweat, and that's how it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. So authentic, or
Yeah.
Be authentic. Yeah. If you could try any other profession, what would it be?
No.
No.
Nope. This is what God made me to be, and this is all I'm going to do.
Okay. And finally, what would you like to be remembered for?
Truthful and real.
Nice. That's beautiful. Tim, tell everyone where they can find more about you. Where are you so active right now on social media? Is it your website? Is it all of it?
Yeah, so Tim Kennedy MMA is my personal stuff. If you're trying to catch up with me and train with me or hang out or shoot, fight, Sheepdog Response is kind of the place that me as an individual and all the other things intersect. So that's where you go.
Are you at all the Sheepdog trainings?
I'm at the vast majority of them. All the good ones.
All the good ones.
Yeah.
So the level 1 in New Jersey and the level 1 in Florida in September?
I might be at the Florida one. I'm going to be at the Austin one next week. I was just at the Pittsburgh one last week.
Oh, okay.
I know
my state, Pennsylvania.
I'm going to be at the Las Vegas one in January. I think we're adding Dallas, Houston, San Antonio to the next 3 upcoming classes that aren't currently listed. I'll be at all 3 of those.
Nice.
So, yeah, man.
The New Jersey one's my birthday weekend, July 12th. I think it's the 12th, 13th, and 14th or something like that. That's up in New Jersey, I think.
Yeah. Well, so here's the problem about all the dudes that train for this company. Like when you see that my resume and you listed all that stuff and we're like, wow, that sounds really weird putting it all together. When you see the people that are there, all of them are better than me. Like, oh, great, that guy's a black belt. Oh, great, that guy's a competitive shooter. Oh, great, that guy's a doctor. Oh, great, that guy came from Delta Force. Oh, great, that guy came from Dev Group. Like, all of them are like that. So it's just, you walk into this room and you're just daunted by the people that are presenting this information to you. It's
nice.
surreal.
Yeah, I've seen the videos, and I definitely want to take one of the courses at some point. And actually, my cousin and I were thinking about taking one together. So just trying to figure out when the schedules sync up and all. So
awesome.
Well, maybe I'll get to meet you one day.
Would love that.
I would too.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks, Tim.
Bye.
Bye. Hey guys, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Warrior Dads podcast. If you like this podcast and want to support it, please subscribe, leave comments, and share it with someone you think would benefit from listening as well. Thanks again, and keep on being a warrior dad.